Something that has always confused me is life insurance. So what type of life insurance should I have and how much should I have?
Yes, that is a great question. I think that we first should back into that number.
Okay.
And you hear people say, well, there's a rule of thumb, you should have at least 5 to 7 times your salary for life insurance. But what is that going to be used for? I want to have a plan for those proceeds. So if we back into that and we think about what is our mortgage? So if something were to happen to me, what's the mortgage, and do I want my husband to be able to use the proceeds to pay that off? Do I have little ones that I want to help provide their college tuition, which is ever growing?
Yes.
My final burial expenses, just the car. Most importantly, what income is he going to be missing if something were to happen to me, and how are we going to replace that? So I like to have a number and a plan for those proceeds.
That makes sense.
And then once we have that number, then we need to decide then what type of insurance policy to get. And there are really, in my mind, two mainstays in the world of insurance. One is term. So you have this insurance for a specific term.
Okay.
And I would recommend this to maybe my younger clients that are now starting family formation would be a good use for this, and they haven't, since they are younger, they haven't had the time to build up their savings if something were to happen to them.
Right.
So they just at least maybe want to make sure that for the next 20 years, while they're saving, they've had time to replace that term insurance. The other type of policy, so there's term, would be universal life.
Okay.
And universal life, in my mind, has really come and taken the place in popularity over whole life insurance, which used to be very common.
Okay.
So with universal life, that is going to be around for the rest of your life. And why would we need that then? So if you know that if something were to happen to you, that your husband would be financially dependent on even just losing your Social Security, and that's something we need to plan for.
Sure.
Or if you're so blessed and your assets are over the annual, or not the annual, but the total amount of 11.58 million, and your heirs may have to pay some inheritance or death taxes.
Okay.
Maybe the life insurance would be used also to cover that. So in either way, we just want to make sure that we understand the purpose of it, and most importantly, a mistake that I see is that people will take that life insurance policy and they'll go throw it in their safe and they never look at it again.
Yes.
You wouldn't do this with your savings account or your 401k account for 20 years, never look at it.
No.
These policies also need to be reviewed. Because
Really?
I'm often seeing that in order for the insurance carriers to stay competitive, and with some changes of the life expectancy that the government put on the insurance carriers, I'm seeing that we can take the cash value and move it over to a new policy that sometimes has double the death benefit for the same amount of premium. So don't just go
Really?
throw it in the safe and forget about it. We should review that too.
Okay, well, I need to dig one out and bring it in to you
Yes.
and have you review that. So, Deanna, let me ask you a follow-up question on that. So when I worked for corporate America, I had life insurance through the company. And I thought that I didn't need any other life insurance because I had that life insurance. But when I left the company, I found out that I can't take that life insurance with me.
Yes, and that some people learn that the hard way because they think, well, I'm covered. Well, in corporate America, we often have restructuring and we think that we're going to have that job forever, but what if we don't?
Right.
I often recommend in situations where I definitely see a need for life insurance that we have some form of outside of the employer life insurance. So outside life insurance coverage that is yours, that no one can take away. So if you were going through a restructuring, and what if over that 5-year period, for instance, your health declined and you weren't able to go and qualify for getting another life insurance policy.
Great.
So having that outside policy just adds that extra layer of protection, knowing I've got myself protected. It's icing on the cake, having that employer coverage, but I also have my own that no one can take away.
Right, and it's not just restructuring. If you decide to leave the job.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you just decide you don't want to work there anymore, you might not know that you can't take that with you. It'd be a good thing to investigate.
Yes, good point.
But it's a good idea, like you say, to have that outside of work so you always have it and you're not dependent upon your job to provide that for you.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.